I'm going to show you how to cut a full-bodied chicken into several different kinds of cuts. We'll ultimately end up with 8 pieces, but we're going to start with a full-bodied chicken that's been defrosted. The first thing you need to always know is that inside the cavity, there's always going to be, the giblets are tucked inside, so you want to reach in and take those out. The next thing you want to do is to take a piece of paper towel and kind of blot down your chicken, because it'll be much easier to handle if it's not too wet from the defrost or the refrigerator. I actually rinsed this one out earlier, so he's a little bit moist. Learning how to cut up a full-bodied chicken is perhaps one of the most useful things you'll ever learn. I have no idea where I learned to do it. I have a feeling it was when I was a young girl and at my grandmother's ranch. She did a lot of chickens, and I think I learned how to cut up a chicken from her. First thing I've done here is I've taken off the excess skin, and the next thing I want to do is, if you can come in closer, I like to use kitchen shears rather than a knife. And can you see this kind of white line that runs down the chicken leg between the leg and the thigh? That's a line of fat, and that's really your guide to know where you want to cut to get the leg from the carcass. And the same thing over on the other side. There's your line of fat. Follow with your shears up the line of fat, and you've released the legs. Come in here and just kind of clip this cartilage. And okay, next you want to kind of separate your breast and wings from your legs and your thigh, and you have the back here, and again just following the natural curve of the chicken. Shears are wonderful. A knife will work if you're comfortable using a knife, but I think everybody should have kitchen shears. Now I've separated the legs and the thighs, but we still have the back here. With my hands, I've broken the backbone. And now I'm going to take my poultry shears and run right up the spine on both sides of the thighs. I have 2 pieces, a leg and a thigh, a leg and a thigh, a piece of the back, and the legs and the thighs are attached. Now, many of my recipes I like to use the quartered chicken, and this would be your basic quarter cut for a leg and a thigh. But I'm going to separate this into 4 pieces now. To separate the thigh and the leg, you feel for the joint, and you'll find it, it's right there, and that's where you want to make your cut. Right through the skin, right through the joint. Now you have a drumstick and a beautiful thigh, and you'll do the same thing on the other side. Using kitchen shears, you'll definitely save your fingers from being cut with a knife. Okay, now you're left with the central carcass. This is the breast, these are the wings, these are the ribs, and still part of the skeletal structure. So the first thing I like to do is to flip it over and to cut off these little wing tips. Throw them in my soup pot. They have no meat on them and they have no flavor, and frankly they just get in the way. So now you have your wings clipped, and now I want to come in and I want to cut out the neck, back of the back, and start on the rib cage. And again, you're going to follow the fat line, and you can see it. And with your shears, you're just going to follow the fat line to release the ribs and the backbone. This will now actually just go into the soup pot. So now we have our breast exposed. We still have some ribs attached, and we still have the wings attached. I'm going to take the excess skin off of the neck, again into the soup pot. Okay, go ahead and cut. First step is putting the breast up on a cutting board and pressing down with your hands until you hear the bone crack. Turn it over with your shears go right up the center. This one's not making it easy for me, but there it is. Release it. And now you have your breasts in 2 parts. But you also have the wings attached, and you also have a lot of bone and cartilage still here that you kind of want to remove. So with your breast on the table, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to just follow up the side of the breastbone and cut and release. Come down here and cut and release. You'll still have some meat on the breastbone. Just goes in your soup pot. It'll make for a better soup. There's another piece of bone here that I want out, so I'm going to use my knife and just separate that, and I'll throw that in the soup pot as well. Now before I go on any further with these 2 breast pieces, I'm going to show you the French bistro cut. I took chicken classes in Paris. I just learned so much about handling a chicken and the different cuts that you can do, and it was really a wonderful opportunity and learning experience. But I love the French bistro cut. It's my favorite cut I've ever learned. When we start now, we have the wing is still attached to the breast on both of these pieces. And what you're ultimately going to end up with is the wing is still attached and a very meaty piece. Now in America, we would cut the wing off and then use the breast whole, and that's an awful lot of meat. So in France, they're really very clever. They take this right through the fleshy part of the thickest part of the breast, leaving all of this as a separate cut. So you just go through with your scissors, bones have been removed, and you just cut out this beautiful little nest of chicken. And yet you still have this beautiful piece of breast. So we'll add this piece of breast meat to our plate. Over to this second piece, same thing, going to be right in here. You can feel where it's the thickest, just below the thick line. Come in here with your shears, cut. Remember, the bones have been removed, so it's very easy to cut. Have your second little beautiful little bistro cut, and this absolutely beautiful chunk of breast meat. So at the end of your cutting session, you have 2 beautiful bistro cuts. I think I'm going to fix these for dinner tonight. And you still have 8 pieces of chicken on your plate. And these can be frozen, cooked, do whatever you want with them. But you have a beautiful cut up chicken. In my pot, which is sitting here and has been collecting all of my leftover skin and remnants, I'm going to have probably produce about, I'd say, 3 cups of chicken broth. So into that pot, I'm going to add a half of an onion, a carrot, 2 stalks of celery, an assortment of herbs. These are herbs that I just got out of the garden and I just have on hand. It can be anything you want to put in there. A clove of garlic that I'm going to just cut in half, throw in, and a mixture of salt and pepper for seasoning. Then I'm going to fill the pan with water and put it on the stove and let it boil and cook probably for, I don't know, there's no real right or wrong time, until it's produced a rich, thick, delicious chicken stock, which I will then drain and freeze. And all my recipes do, I always use homemade chicken stock. So I hope you've learned something. You have to get your hands dirty. You cannot cut up a chicken. Keep your hands clean. Some people can do it in rubber gloves. I can't. Just enjoy it.